Hello, I'm Mr. Shine from HearthstonePlayers.com, and today I'm going to walk you through Heroic Thaddius, the final boss of the Construct Quarter in the Naxxramas Adventure mode. So according to lore, Thaddius is built from the flesh of women and children, their souls fused together and eternally bound within. Basically, he's a Frankenstein monster on steroids, complete with the whole electricity theme. Yet while he comes with a pretty backstory, and is the boss of the Construct Quarter, he actually was probably the easiest heroic boss I faced in the entire quarter. The main gimmick of the fight is this. Every turn, Thaddius uses his hero ability Polarity Shift, which swaps attack and health of all minions. This means that your minions will get progressively weaker as you make trades, since the remaining HP will turn into attack, and you'll probably be left with a board full of 1 or 2 attack minions the following turn. This means that you'll always need to be thinking about what Thaddius' minions are going to look like the following turn, and how your minions will stack up. A bit of foresight goes a long way in this fight to avoid unexpected surprises. Sticking with the electricity theme, Thaddius also has a handful of shaman removal spells with Forked Lightning, Lightning Bolt, and the dreaded Lightning Storm. Be a bit careful about flooding the board until he's exhausted a few of these, but many times it's also just going to be a risk you'll have to take. The final wrench Thaddius throws at you is he summons Stalag and Fugan right away in the fight, because that seems fair, right? Fortunately, they don't have any Death Rattle to trigger Thaddiusception, so it's really just a 4-7 and a 7-4 on his first turn. Still really strong, but not as game-breaking as if they could summon an 11-11 upon death like the cards you and I have available to us. So in order to beat Thaddius in Heroic, we need to do a few things. First, we need to figure out a way to deal with his early game minions before they beat us into the ground, and second, we need to build a deck to deal with the constant polarity shifts that will bounce the attack and HP back and forth. I decided to go with Warlock. The main reason is Warlock is consistent with the hero power at getting cheap minions on the board and providing buffs. Two aspects of the fight I felt were critical. Warlock also is the proud owner of both Corruption and Soulfire, two cards that are fantastic at dealing with the early game Stalag and Fugan that are dropped on us. Here's the deck that I ended up going with when I faced Thaddius. As you can see, it has a lot of similarities to Zoo, with a bit more of a mid-game control focus to it. I must admit I beat him on my second try, so there is a probability that a lot of my streamlining did not end up happening because I wasn't really forced into making it. A few tech pieces that I want to point out are the following. Big Game Hunter for an early kill of Stalag or Fugan depending on where the polarity is at that time. If we can eliminate the early threat, Thaddius becomes much easier. Nerubian Egg. Thaddius' Polarity Shift does a job for us and kills the egg off right away to leave the 4-4 ready for us on turn 3. A very strong card in this fight. Acolyte of Pain. Maybe not an integral part of the deck, but I figured a 3-1 that draws a card is a better tempo play than a 1-3. Probably not something that's needed here, but I liked it. Strangely, playing Fugan and Stalag against Thaddius is really strong. Since Thaddius starts with both named minions, if one of ours dies, the Death Rattle gets triggered, and bam, we have an 11-11. As they say, fight fire with fire. Or in this case, fight huge monstrosities and their vanguard of wights with your own set of wights that summon said monstrosity to fight on your side. I'll clean that part up later. Anyways, the meat of the deck comes from self-buffing minions. The way the attack and health swap works is much like how Crazed Alchemist works. Any attack buff a minion gets is added to their permanent HP. Direwolf Alpha therefore effectively can give your minions an extra HP, while still providing the damage buff. It's for this reason I strongly valued Amani Berserker, Direwolf, and Young Priestess. The fight itself is pretty straightforward. Get bored early, clear out his beefy starting minions as soon as you can, and weather the storm he throws at you with his board clearing potential. If you get enough of a board lead on him, then you really shouldn't have too much of a problem since his deck isn't terribly difficult to deal with. Sludge Belchers are probably the most annoying things you'll face, since you'll likely have to beat a lot of your minions up onto it to clear it. Which means that, again, they'll hit like fresh spring flowers the following turn when the polarity gets shifted. And without further ado, let's watch a successful run against Thaddius. Well, there you go. Construct Quarter has been vanquished, and we move on to the final portion of Naxxramas' Heroic with Frostworm Lair. If you've enjoyed this video and want to see more, be sure to subscribe at HearthstonePlayers.com for more gaming content. We'll be putting up videos on a frequent basis now covering all things Hearthstone, so be sure to stick around. I've been Mr. Shine, and I'll see you next time!